Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever woken up with that feeling? Just had this amazing, maybe totally wild dream,
Oh, yeah,
but it's just gone like smoke the second you try and, grab onto it.
absolutely. Vanishes. It's incredibly common.
So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that.
Huh.
Why remembering dreams feels so slippery for so many of us. We're pulling from the sources you shared.
Right.
And the mission is, well, to understand why these stories disappear and maybe more importantly, explore some simple ways you might actually hold on to them.
Because here's the thing, and the sources are clear on this.
Yeah.
You are dreaming. Everyone does. Even if you wake up thinking, nope, nothing last night.
Right, that's the baseline.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do these dreams mostly happen?
Well, most of the ones we might remember, the really vivid ones, happen during REM sleep. That's rapid eye movement sleep.
Okay.
Your brain activity then. It looks surprisingly similar to when you're wide awake.
Well,
Just buzzing.
huh. Not really resting then, in that phase.
Not in the same way as deep sleep, no. Now, you can dream in non-REM sleep, too, but those tend to be less narrative. More like stray thoughts, maybe feelings.
Got it. So the movie-like ones, the memorable ones, are mostly REM.
Pretty much, yeah. Those are the ones that feel like they should stick.
Okay, so here's a million-dollar question then. Why don't they stick? Why do these intense experiences just poof?
Huh. Yeah, the frustrating part. And according to the sources, it's really a mix of things working against recall.
Like what?
Well, one big piece is simply when you wake up, your brain cycles through different stages all night.
Right, REM, non-REM.
Exactly. And if your alarm clock, say, blasts you out of a really deep non-REM sleep stage,
Yeah.
it's much harder to pull back a dream from a REM cycle that finished maybe, 20 minutes ago. It's different than if you naturally drift awake right after REM.
Oh, so that jolt really matters, like hitting delete.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
That sudden shift makes recall way harder. And, well, modern life adds its own challenges.
Uh-huh. I imagine things like stress.
Definitely. Stress is a big one, mentioned in the sources.
Yeah.
Also, sleep disorders, insomnia, sleep apnea, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And even substances, alcohol before bed, some medications, they can really mess with your sleep stages.
How so?
They can chop up your REM sleep or just reduce the total amount you get. Less REM, fewer chances to have. And then remember, those vivid dreams.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's something else too, right? About the brain's chemistry during REM.
Yes, this is fascinating. Some of the sources point to norepinephrine. It's a neurotransmitter, really important for memory consolidation when you're awake.
Right.
But during REM sleep, levels are significantly lower, much lower.
So why? What does that mean?
Well, one theory is it's like a built-in filter. Maybe the brain is actively trying not to store these intense dream experiences as regular memories.
Huh. To avoid confusing them with real life.
Possibly, or just to keep the memory banks clear for, actual waking experiences. It's less that you can't remember and
Yeah.
more that your brain is kind of designed to let them go upon waking.
Wow. So it might actually be a feature, not a bug.
Could be. And sometimes it's even simpler,
Like what?
like just not paying attention. The sources mention this too. If you leap out of bed, start checking your phone immediately.
Yeah, the morning rush.
Exactly. You don't give those fragile dream fragments any space to surface or solidify.
Yeah.
They just fade because you weren't focused on them at all.
And age plays a part too, you said.
A subtle one, yeah. Generally, older adults tend to spend a bit less time in REM sleep overall.
Okay, so lots of reasons why it's tough, but what if you want to remember more? What can you actually do?
Right, the practical side. The sources offer several good strategies. Consistent ones.
What's top of the list?
Almost universally recommended. Keep a dream journal. Right by your bed. Pen ready.
And use it immediately.
Absolutely. The moment you wake up. Before you move, before you even really open your eyes fully, just lie there. Try to recall anything.
Even just a feeling or an image.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Fragments, feelings, colors, weird snippets. Write it down. Doing this consistently basically tells your brain, hey, this stuff matters. Pay attention.
Training your brain. I like that. What else?
Well, it sounds basic, but just general good sleep habits are huge. Sleep hygiene, they call it.
Meaning like a regular schedule.
Yeah, consistent bedtime and wake-up time. Dark, quiet, cool room, limiting screens, caffeine, alcohol, especially near bedtime.
Because better sleep means more stable REM.
Pretty much. More quality sleep overall usually means healthier, more robust REM periods, which gives you more opportunity to dream and then potentially remember.
Okay. Makes sense. Any like mental tricks?
There's one the sources mention. Setting an intention.
How does that work?
Simply tell yourself clearly before you fall asleep, tonight I'm going to remember my dreams, or something similar.
Does that really work? Seems a bit out there.
It might sound a little woo-woo, yeah. But the idea is that consciously focusing your intent can actually influence what your mind prioritizes when you wake up. It prompts your attention.
Huh. Worth a try, I guess. Anything else about the waking up process itself?
Yes, try, if possible, to wake up slowly. Don't jump right up.
Just linger.
Yeah, linger in that half-awake, drowsy state for a few minutes. That transition zone, the hypnopompic state, is often where dream memories are most accessible before they fully evaporate.
Okay, resist the urge to grab the phone immediately.
Exactly. Give yourself a moment. And another thing, talk about them.
Talk about dreams, even if you barely remember anything.
Yeah, sometimes just trying to describe a vague feeling or a single weird image to someone can actually trigger more details to come back. Sharing helps solidify memory.
Interesting. So journal, good sleep, intention, wake slowly, talk about it.
Right. And remember, it takes practice. It's about consistency. You likely won't remember everything every night, but you can definitely improve your recall over time.
So bottom line, not remembering dreams. Totally normal. It's not a sign anything's wrong.
Not at all. Very common. And maybe even, like we said, part of the brain's design.
But if you are curious about what's going on in your head at night, it is possible to get better at recalling them. And sometimes those dreams can offer, surprising insight.
They really can.
Yeah.
Reflecting on them can connect back to your waking thoughts, feelings, anxieties,
Yeah.
stuff you might not consciously be aware of.
Right. So a final thought to leave people with, drawing from this deep dive.
Okay.
Considering how absolutely critical those first few moments around waking up seem to be for catching dream memories, what might changing just how you wake up that transition, what might that reveal about the hidden world inside your own mind?
That's a great question to ponder. What happens if you just linger a bit longer in the doorway?